Monday last week. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. I see
that's
you.
right.
I see you. So just in case you're wondering who he is, you can go check him out. It's very easy. If of course we're streaming right now, so just in case you're not sure, Coach Mayzy, his T-shirt that he has right on now has it hashtag Coach Mayzy, so you can see the spelling. So you want to make sure that you go to our stream on Facebook and YouTube. Just search Nigeria Info 95.1 Abuja on both platforms, on either of the platforms, and you can see who Coach Mayzy is. And of course, as the conversation goes on, you can learn what he's about. You can also go on his social media handles. It's as it's written there, Coach Mayzy. That's where you find him everywhere. Okay, Coach M. Two things before we get into the conversation of today. I know this is not usually your purview, but I just wanted to put this out because this message came in right before we got on the couch, and this person is asking for advice. I don't know if it's something you'll be able to do, and then we get into the myth or fact segment as a preamble to our conversation. So first of all, someone has written in, they let me know that they had the worst day possible. And this is as a result of the fact that in their workplace, he said there's conspiracy and eye service that is going on. And all these things that are going, it's not called for. He says it's affecting me to the point that I'm thinking from resigning from the place because I just can't take it any longer. He said he had even advised the boss that this person is working for, broke down everything, told them everything that is happening and all of that. Let's see. He says, I've had a long, genuine conversation, but she didn't take, despite everything I told her as at January, and she didn't, pay heed to it. These things are still happening. He said, now I doubt if she can keep up with everything by the time she finally finds out. This person is working in a private organization, and he says it's annoying the way I see these things happening. It's not my business, but I'm really worried about the place. Please advise me. I don't want to tell her now. Others will be seeing me as someone that gossips. Very quickly, is this something that you can just touch on very quickly, because this person is really sounding worried and concerned, and that they might need advice from you, if you can give it.
Okay, thank you. So at first, I thought what the person was saying was that all of that conspiracy was against them. But later on, it sounded like it was just something that was the culture of the organization, not necessarily targeted at the person, right?
Yes, they're just bothered about how badly things are going on there, yes.
Yeah. What I would say to this person is, depending on their role in that organization and the extent to which they're able to effect changes, right? There might be limitations to what they could do organization-wide. When we talk about focus, right, we always drive you towards the locus of control, where you are focusing on what you can control. There are certain things that are within your sphere of influence or control, and then certain other things are outside of your influence and control. You see, so what we would advise is focus on the area to which you have your own influence. So perhaps within your own department, can you ensure that culture doesn't creep into your own department, within your own space, right? And one thing I know in the workplace that gives you an edge is the excellence with which you deliver on your own responsibilities, right? It gives you an edge. It gives you, someone gives you the right to have something to say, because you can't be speaking about others and how to do better when your own deliverables are lacking, right? So that's partly, also points to the fact that I said you need to focus on what you can control and what you can influence. And one of the things you can control is your own disposition to the workplace. All right. To what extent are you going to allow these issues to really bother you if it's not something you can directly change, right? To what extent can you focus on delivering on your core deliverables and not be found wanting, such that people begin to commend your output and find you a person worthy of whose opinion can be listened to? You see, because you need to win that credibility first and exemplify the culture you're trying to introduce, or what you would rather like to see. You need to exemplify it so that when you're talking about it, people already see that this is how this person is, right? But along the line, I still want to let you know that don't take the burden of change if you are not in an office that can influence such organizational culture. And one of such offices is management or human resources. You see, so if you're within those kind of departments, then you can begin to introduce subtle, culture shifts, engagements within the organization, right? You can recommend, perhaps a team bonding session where you have an expert come share on, the right culture and the right behaviors that you want to see within the organization. Now, all that is possible if you're within the
position,
the level where you can suggest, or cause that to happen. But if you can't do that, then focus on what exactly you can do, which is yourself, your output, how you relate within the organization, how you coordinate within your department, all right? And then you should also prepare your mind that what if it doesn't get better? What if things don't get better? Oh yeah, you can only hope for the best, but you may not be able to necessarily determine if and when it will happen. All right, so if things don't get better, what are you going to do? All right, is it going to get to a point where it begins to affect your mental health and you feel completely uncomfortable and tensed up, and the toxicity is just getting to you and you can't take it no more? All right, you want to predefine what your responses will be beforehand. So when it gets to that time, you'll be making an informed decision, not one out of the spur of the moment and tension and, without having time to properly plan it out. Okay. And if you're going to be considering such an option, then you want to also ask yourself, what would I be leaving to? Do I have ready alternatives? Do I have a side business I'm going to pick? Do you understand? So at the end of it, it comes back to focusing on what you can influence and control, and the most assured factor that you can influence is you. All right, so focus on you and then work on yourself and take on the other things I've said. I'm sure it would help you have a different poise towards working in that organization.
All right, Joel, that was for you. I hope you heard everything that Coach said. And if you still need clarity on anything, just send a message, and then we'll see if we can take it up. I felt particularly concerned when I read your message because, for it to be so bad in your workplace, according to you, that it affects your entire day. It affects your entire day. Some people take on some things a little more seriously or passionately than others. And so you're just pouring your heart out into this thing that you said is not your business, but it's paining you so much. So I hope you heard how Coach said you could handle it. If you need more clarity, please let me know, and then we'll take it up at some point in the conversation today. All right. Thank you, Coach, for bringing perspective and clarity to that. Now let's move on very quickly. Just in case you're just joining us and you didn't catch my teaser early on in the day, I said that our conversation on the couch today has to do with breaking down what some people call gender roles, or what we call gender roles, which basically is a thing of what is expected of a man in the relationship and what is expected of a woman in a relationship. When you think about it, what we plan to do with this series, say for the next couple of Mondays, is really, really take it from the top and break it down so that you have a full understanding of what people say when they imply that, or what people imply when they say that. And then you can start to know this is something that is suited to me, this is something that's not suited to me, right? And then you know how to allow that to play out in your relationships. Why is this conversation important? Some people will say, Well, the world as we have it today is constantly changing. When you look at societies as far back as the early 1800s, 1900s, there are certain expectations that were placed on you, whether you were male or whether you were female. You know, men often seen as the leaders. Let me use that word because there's a clip that I'm going to play that a man was alluding to his leadership in the relationship and what it means for him to be a leader in a relationship. So, as far back as then and sometimes even now, you have, men are the leaders, they are the providers, they are the protectors, while women were often associated with nurturing, homemaking, caregiving. But of course, society has evolved from the 1800s, 1900s, and here we are in 2025. And you see this, there's sort of like a blending in some instances of the roles that were traditionally associated with men vis-a-vis the roles that were traditionally associated with women. And for some people, it's a thing that they have to work with. Or some people, they can't stand it. And so they come up with these narratives around it. That's why I'm going to play that clip for you. Pay attention. Some of you probably have heard it or watched it already before, but Coach and I thought, let's take this and then break it down. And let's understand what these things translate to when it comes to relationships so that, we just finished the series questions to ask before you get into that relationship, before you get married. For some people, these are some of the things that you need to understand. The mindset of this man that you're about to commit to, or the mindset of this woman when it comes to gender roles, right? So before we get to the clip and before we get Coach talking about that, myth or fact, let's do this very quickly. And I'm going to put it to Coach, but I also will open up the phone lines and allow for people to speak, say, for the next 5 minutes. And so the statement, men are not supposed to be accountable to their women as much as women are supposed to be accountable to their men. Is that a myth? Or is that a fact? Let's open up the phone lines really quickly. Talk about it before Coach takes over. 0700951 0000 or 00959748669. You can also send a message on WhatsApp or send a voice note. 009993037. Please, if you are sending a voice note, make sure it's no more than 1 minute 30 seconds. Again, the statement. Men are not necessarily or are not supposed to be accountable to their women as much as women are supposed to be accountable to their men. Let me say that in a different way. A man, by virtue of his role in the family or his position or his leadership or what have you, is allowed to do what he finds the need to do without having to answer to his wife. But a wife must answer to her husband at all times. I've tried to say it in two different ways. In whichever way you understand it, let's talk about it. Again, the phone lines are open, people. Let's talk. 07000951 0000 or 00959748669. When some people are hearing conversations like this, they think, it's culture, it's tradition. If you're on that side of the table, please, let's talk about it. All right? We're here to understand the various points of view to this conversation. We're here to learn, right? And in some cases, unlearn and relearn, all in the bid to understand gender roles and how they affect relationships. All right, I don't see the phone lines ringing, so maybe I'll just let Coach get into it for now, pending when the calls come in. All right, Coach. Men are not supposed to be as accountable to their women as their women are supposed to be accountable to the men. Let's talk.
Okay. Interesting one there. I wish we have more opinions before.
Your wish came true. I have a caller.
Excellent.
Let's see. Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Coach.
Welcome.
Your line is not ringing, so I decided to just call you, even though I didn't get to hear what Coach was saying. But I was about to hear before you open the line for us, and nobody's calling, so I can only greet you. It's a beautiful day. And I'll listen now. I just wanted to know I'm with you today.
Thank you for letting me know. And now that you have established that you are with me, start with your name, where you're calling from, and then I will throw you the question so that you can respond to it before you go.
Okay. I'm calling from Natal, and my name is King. And, okay, your question.
Welcome, King. All right. So I have a statement that is up for debate right now. And it goes thus. I have a statement. It's up for debate. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I want to get your thoughts on it. What do you think? Men are not supposed to be accountable to their women. Instead, accountability is more of from a woman to a man thing. Do you agree? I'll ask you again.
Okay.
Men are not supposed to answer to their women as much as women are supposed to answer to their men. Do you agree with that, or do you think that it is a myth?
Okay, I believe I understand the question. For me, you, I think you know my stand already. I should be able to account to my woman. I'm supposed to let her know what I'm doing, and I should be able to know what she's doing too. Because we're one. Am I answering the question where it should be?
I don't know. I just want to get your thoughts on it. I don't have a wrong or right answer.
Yes, because I want to be sure of the question because the line was a bit breaking.
Okay. Just keep going.
Yes,
keep going. I think you're on course.
Sorry?
Keep going, King. I think you're on course.
All right. Okay. So I should be accountable to my woman, and she should know what I'm doing, and I should be ready to listen at all time, and we should be on the same page all the time. That's it. That we should be two captains to yeah. That's I'm going to. That's what I'm going to say to your question. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, and it's always good to know that you are with us here. Thank you.
Thank
King.
you very much.
All right.
I'm with you.
Thank you, King. Yeah. Okay, we have one person who says, "Indeed, I feel like I should be accountable to my woman. I feel like I should be able to, have her ask me questions about my whereabouts, what I'm doing, and there shouldn't be a problem with that." Okay, thank you, King, for that. Let's come back to you, Coach M. Oh, before we do, another caller. Okay, all right. Hello.
Hello, ma.
Yes, John. Welcome.
Good evening, ma.
Good evening once again. Talk to me.
Good evening, sir.
Go ahead. He can hear you.
Ma, the misunderstanding I have is both of us, the husband and wife have to give account of each other. Like the husband has to give account of himself to the wife and also the wife, because both of them are one. That's what the scripture says.
Okay. I heard you, John. Thank you. All right, Coach M, he says two takers, and both of them on the same side. One person said, yes, my wife should be able to ask me, and I also can ask her. And then the second person also made mention to the fact that, we are one. So, there's no lording it over the other person. Okay. I have just a scant number of seconds before I need to. Okay, I don't seem to have an ad here, so we'll just continue the conversation anyway. All right, so let's come back to you, Coach. Two people who have said pretty much the same thing. I don't have a varied opinion. Would you like me to play the video to give you a varied opinion, or do you want to touch on the issue before we go to the video?
Okay, you can play the video since it gives the background to what we're discussing here.
Okay, all right, so let's do that then. This trended from a podcast about a month ago. Let's listen as he speaks.
If I'm out, don't ask me where I'm at. Don't ask me who I'm with. Don't ask me what I'm doing. Are you the leader in this relationship? No, I'm the leader in this relationship. Wherever I'm at, who I'm with, or what I'm doing is for me to
Even
know.
if you're in a relationship?
Yes.
What if they do it to you?
I am your leader. I need to know. I am here to protect and provide
That
for you.
sounds like slavery.
The point that I'm making is it's expected on the woman's end to tell the whereabouts, but it's not expected on the man's end.
It sounds so sneaky.
Who I'm with, listen, it sounds so sneaky because you got past traumas and you trying to put that on me.
And you're right.
Don't put your insecurities
You're right.
on me. So
You're right.
if that man is your protector and your provider, guess what? He is your law. There's no other law but him. Are you my protector? You're not my protector. So for me to get out of the norm and tell you where I'm at, who I'm with, and what I'm doing, I would be yielding to you, and you would be the leader, and you would be my protector. But guess what? You're thinking that the man should tell you his whereabouts because if you peel the layer back, you don't really trust your man. You can't protect your man, and it's not your job to protect your man. So what would be the other reason? The thing is, if we reverse it, it's no insecurities from our part. Our job is to protect you. So we need to know where you at, what you doing, and who you with. But it's not your duty. So guess what? You women need to know your role and play your role.
Okay. There's just a lot to unpack in that a minute clip? A lot to unpack there. It started out as a conversation of roles. And he says, as your leader, as your protector, I'm the man in this relationship. And because by virtue of my position as the man in this relationship, I am automatically your leader, I am automatically your protector, your provider, and I am the law unto you. Outside of me, there is no other law. Now, this is a young Black American man on a podcast making these assertions. And so you think about the typical African tradition setting, and a lot of what he said in terms of his role as a man is not different from what you will find in our traditional setting. So yes, no question as to whether you are leader, provider, protector. I don't know about the law part, because the way he put it, it sounded like my word is final. There's nothing else that you can say out of what I have said. And he tied all of this to the fact that he is the leader in the relationship. So when I say there's a lot to unpack, sometimes, you're listening and sometimes you want to unpack it from the point of, really, what does leadership mean in a relationship as far as the role of the man? On the other hand, you want to unpack it from the point of what does being the law mean when you are the man? And then you also want to unpack it from the point of what it means that you are leader, provider, protector, and so it gives you the right to be able to ask, demand, and know, while your significant other cannot do that because they are not leader, protector, provider, and all of that. So there's a lot to unpack. I'm just going to let Coach M start with it, or take this call and then let Coach M jump on it. The calls are coming in. Hello, good evening.
Oh, wow.
Hello, Somi. I had that skit, and then you got talking to, so I got the full picture of everything, even though at first I was suspecting something like that, and it's king. So I decided to call back.
Go ahead.
You see, sometimes I talk to people that are married. I'm single, and they jokingly say it again that me, I'm not married, and I'm advising people that are married. Yeah, because sometimes it's not about. I was also even thinking about it earlier before I joined your program. That a lot of my friends that are married think they're smarter. They think they know it all. They think they're better people than us that are single and stuff like that. But I still see a lot of them do the wrong thing, and decide to just say, they're married people. That's why they don't do wrong things.
Okay.
The truth is that that's not the issue anyway. But what I'm just trying to say, for anybody you don't settle with, you understand the person even before you settle. We know what the book said about religion, and then we know even without religion being part of it, we all know the right thing. Not because you're in the man, you become a ruler or one judge or one tyrant, you get it. Because the truth is that if you go about the relationship that way because you're the head, then it will definitely not work because nobody wants to be bullied around. You get it. You have to allow people to express themselves. You have to understand your partner. You have to know what you can take and what you cannot take.
Okay.
And you see those things in relationships.
All right.
And when you see them and you know, I cannot deal with this, you don't even allow it to get to that level that you start to shout about it. So
Okay.
I will just leave it at that. Anybody that's listening will understand what I'm trying to say, right?
All right. Thank you, King. Let's let Coach M jump on it. The caller was, from the context provided, speaking about how, everybody knows what's right and what's wrong. Nobody will want to be within that kind of environment. Even though in my head I was thinking, are you sure about that? Are you sure that from the cultural and traditional influences, which, have been some of us, our background and, the environments that we've grown up in, that some people are not comfortable having a man who takes on the position that this young man in the podcast took on and are okay with it? Are you sure about that? But like I said, it's your time now, Coach. I pass the mic.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I mean, I've listened patiently and I've heard the different contributors, and I thank all of them for their responses. For the question that men are not supposed to be as accountable to their wives as the wives should be to their husbands. Well, the question was if it was a myth or fact.
Yes.
It's a myth. It's a myth. Yeah, it's not a fact. All right. Howbeit, I could still choose to answer it from two perspectives. One being the cultural or traditional perspective, and then the other being the contemporary, or what I'll call the egalitarian perspective. All right. So for those who hold very strongly to the cultural perspective, where it's a patriarchal system that is skewed in favor of the man. All right. Now, what are some of the characteristics of that system? Here, the man is the breadwinner, as it were, financial provider. He is the physical protector. He is the decision maker, and he is he's dominant. He's the Lord. He's the master. It's his way, is his say, or the highway. All right? That's the traditional system. And then, while that is the role for the man in the traditional system, the role for the woman revolves more around homemaking, so coordinating the home front, raising the children, and then making sure there's food in the house and the distribution of the food, right? Everything around home management is traditionally the woman's role, all right? Now, there are people in this dispensation who still hold on very tightly to that system, all right? And one of the most important things people need to know about marriage is that both of you, husband and wife, have to be on the same page with your value and cultural beliefs. You have to be easily agreeable on that. So by that, I am saying that if the man, though a Gen Z in this age or Gen Alpha, believes that the man is the sole decision maker, sole breadwinner, protector, everything like we have said, if that is what he believes, and the lady he wants to get married to also what's the word now, subscribes to that school of thought, then they don't have a problem because both of them agree on that. They will be able to navigate their marriage based on that belief. And trust me, some of the things you think they will be having as issues or they should be having as issues, they may not be having those issues. Why? Because both of them agree with that arrangement. The woman readily operates in her capacity as the subservient one, as the one who is below her, as it were, less inferior to her husband. It's his way or the highway. It's his decision to make. She doesn't have an opinion except his, right? If she completely subscribes to that, then they will be fine in their home. It's not for you to tell them whether or not they are practicing the right thing. If that is what makes them enjoy their level of peace, expectations, and unity in their home. You get what I'm saying, right? It's that, hey, gone are those days where only the man has to be breadwinner. Hello, I'm a lady and I'm also empowered. I have a great job. I have a great business. I also bring in money, perhaps even more than my husband, right? And then, so let's talk. How are we going to do this? So you see, the core factor in the egalitarian system or the contemporary system is negotiation. Both of them have opinions. Both of them need to talk. Now, that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be, as it were, a leader in the relationship. It just means that this leader provides leadership more from the contemporary definitions of leadership as against the traditional concepts of Lord and Master. In this case, when I'm talking about contemporary definitions of leadership, I'm talking about that one who inspires, who carries the other along, all right, who is able to delegate, who is able to have conversations, is able to share the vision and have everyone brainstorm and weigh in on it, right? So in the contemporary system, yes, both parties are working or bringing in money, and then they are able to discuss among themselves and create their expectations and the roles in the way that it suits their union. Okay? Again, a traditionalist should not point at the egalitarianist and say, you're getting it wrong. You're not a man. You're not getting it right. You're making a mess of this. No, it's not your it's not your marriage. It's theirs, and it's working for them. And they agree to it. You see? Now, let me tell you where the bone of contention is. The problem is that someone with the traditional mindset wants to get married to someone with the contemporary mindset and wants to drag the contemporary person to the traditional mindset, and that is not happening.
And vice versa.
And vice versa. You see? So one party is not having it. That's where the problem breaks out. But if both of them are of the same school of thought, they reason, they align in their thinking, whether it's the traditional one or the egalitarian one, then that's fine. They're good. Okay, so that's why I said I would answer it in those two, So yeah, it could be myth and it could be fact. All right?
Okay.
But my own subscription, especially in the line of current realities, especially in the sense of economic empowerment, all right, and educational exposure, right? I subscribe to the contemporary approach where both parties need to discuss, negotiate, agree, all right, on who does what, how should it be done, what kind of home do we want to create, all right, and then both of them share accountability with each other, all right, because look at it, the sense of it. I was going to ask a question earlier, and I was going to say, who as an individual should demand more accountability from themselves? Is it the man or is it the woman as individuals now?
From themselves or from their partner?
No, from themselves as an individual.
Both of them. If I were to answer that question, both of them.
Yes.
If you were to go back to the video, like I said, a lot to unpack. It started with roles and then it delved into accountability. And so we would like for that answer we'd like to throw it back to the people in terms of who is supposed to demand more, because I think the young man in the clip tied the right to demand based on the gravity of the role that he's playing in the relationship. So we're going to come back to that, but let's come back to the rules, because all of this started when somebody decided, this is my role as a man and this is your role as a woman. And like I said, I honestly didn't quarrel with what he mentioned his role was. Perhaps it's how he has chosen to translate it, and what rights it feels that gives him when it comes to demands he can place on his partner and the likes. And even though I didn't get contrary opinions, people calling me contrary opinions, I know that there are a lot of people in the listening audience or listening family who would subscribe to that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're able to understand how it translates in terms of what you're going to be doing with your partner, I think that's where we just need to provide clarity on that. Okay, so let's come back to the rules. Okay, traditionally, what is expected of men? He mentioned it. Provider, right? They're expected to be the primary breadwinner, responsible for earning income to support the family. We'll talk about the roles or the traditional ones and what we see in today's in what we see in today's industry. I see in today's times. He mentioned protector as well, of course, by virtue of their makeup. Some would say, as far back as from the beginning of time, by virtue of their makeup, they're expected to ensure the safety and security of their families, both physically and, catch this, emotionally. I think a lot of the time we dwell on the physical part of protecting, not considering that there is an emotional side to it that you're supposed to protect as well. He also mentioned leader, okay? And this would infer that men, when it comes to decision making, are supposed to take the lead. They're supposed to set direction. They're supposed to guide the family. Again, these are traditional roles. Now, how traditional would depend on what year you were born and what year you lived in and all of that. Because when we say traditional, some people will think, oh, it's culture. No. If, as I'm saying these things and I'm breaking it down and I'm explaining it, I'm sure some people are thinking, okay, maybe not so much, maybe 50-50 on this end, maybe concerning the roles of the man. So provider, protector, leader, those were the three that he mentioned. But then he added a fourth, which I'm highly contending.
Law.
I am the law unto you. But by all means, if you agree that that is part of a traditional role as a man in a relationship or, in a marriage, please, the phone lines are open. Perhaps you have a different explanation to what he translated as law. We'd like to talk. Let's rub minds, right? If we move on to the women, nurturer, right? They're caregivers. This is normal. This is normal of any woman. And no matter what the world will try to tell you today, when it comes to nurturing and caring, it is sort of like inbuilt in the woman. Maybe the percentage is higher in some than in others. Because again, like I said, the world today, is what it is. So they're supposed to take primary responsibility for childcare and also provide emotional support within the family. They're also known to be traditionally homemakers. Now, I would define homemaking according to my understanding. I'm sure some people have a different definition of homemaking, but they're traditionally expected to manage the household, including cooking, cleaning, laundry, and maintaining the home. And then you also have women as primary caregivers for family members, including children, elderly relatives, and those with disabilities. Some women are shaking their head in complete disagreement with this one right now. But again, like I said, traditionally, okay? If we were to add a few, when it comes to fixing things around the house, handyman, heavy lifting, we don't do taking out the trash in these parts. Apparently, it's a huge deal in some other parts of the world. But, there's just dustbin outside. Children probably will do that. Just go and throw this in the dustbin, so there's no taking out the trash here. But again, fixing, heavy lifting, the men. And then we've talked about the women. Just to add a little bit, when it comes to the aesthetics of the home, how pleasing it looks, how you manage the different people in terms of human resources in the house. It's a woman thing. Now, these are traditional roles, but you and I, perhaps I, maybe not you, we would know that there are things have changed depending, again, like I said, what year you were born, what environment you grew up in, and all of that. And so you are seeing shared responsibility in a number of things. Now, I think the problem, if you go back to that clip again, is that in demonstrating or in mentioning one person's role against the other, some people have tweaked it to ensure that it only suits them, when it suits them. Because I think I was going through his page just to sort of get an understanding, because like I said, there was this clip got the internet in everybody was worked up about it. I saw different people taking the video and taking it apart and trying to put it back together. And there was one particular person who took it apart and said, it's like this person just, these days with podcasts, some people, it's just about what would generate controversy, right? And this person who was taking apart the video said, sometimes people just do this to rage bait. They don't actually believe these things, but they just want to start something and have people talking and talking and talking. And I thought about it and I said, perhaps it's actually what he believes. So in going through his page, I saw at some point where he was talking about gender roles, right? But then he said, for example, now, due to inflation, you have men and women contributing to the family equally.
Oh, he said that?
Oh, he said that in another one of his clips.
Well, he has to be a traditionalist all the way.
And so that's why I said, sometimes what you have with these things is not as if people don't know, but they want to tweak it and bend it and break it just so that it suits what their disposition is to their partner at that particular point in time. So you cannot be shouting, I'm your leader, I am your protector, I am a provider, and demanding what you're demanding from your partner to suit you. But then as the situation then changes, you say, oh, we are both equally providing. Do you understand what I mean? So I think that's the problem that we have with when people are talking about gender roles and things like that. This young man also then made it look like for a woman to be asking that of their partner is because they are traumatized. They have a previous experience of trauma and all of that, which again, I concluded, I took to mean that this person is just manipulating the whole conversation because he wants to be a certain type of way towards his partner. So having talked about the traditional gender roles and all of that, Coach, you have experience probably with counseling people and talking to people about these things. How have you seen this affect relationships, especially in the world that we have today? Just mull on that question for a bit. Let me take this call very quickly. Hello?
Somi, good evening.
Now you get to do. This is your third time calling in. Go ahead.
Third time, right? So I don't need to say anything.
It's
right?
fine. It's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And I'm not trying to say thank you to you. Hello?
Go ahead, King. I can hear you. Oh dear. King, are you there? Hello? Okay. Call me back. Don't mind me. I was just teasing. I didn't mean to send you away. All right, let's come back to Coach.
Okay. What did you ask?
Go ahead. I was asking, in the course of your work and, your time, counseling people, do you see this play out in a way where maybe there's no proper understanding of gender roles, and how has it impacted some people's relationships? What have you, noticed in the course of the work that you do?
Yeah, practically, this is a very real stuff, and it's not peculiar to just Africans or the West. It's a human phenomenon. It's a human experience. All right. And I've seen it. It's a real stuff, like I said, and it affects a lot of marriages. In fact, that was why I took the approach I took when I was answering the myth or fact where I said that what would work is if if the husband and wife are on the same school of thought, right?
Yeah.
If both of them, I know people, you know, who operate with this traditional mindset we're talking about. The man insists, I am the king, I am the Lord, and the wife completely plays her role subservient and without complaining. She's fulfilled doing that. I mean, you ask her a question about certain things, you know, that you think she should have an opinion on, and she tells you, no, let me hear from my husband, whatever he says. Or she tells you, ask him, whatever he says. You know, she's happy. She's not she's not contesting anything. She's just okay there. You know, he tells her, you have to leave your work now and come stay in the house and I'm going to provide for you. And oh, yes, that's fine. You know, he tells her, I want you to do this. Oh, yes, that's fine. Now, like I said, if both of them are of the same school of thought, we're not digging into the causes for that school of thought, whether it's just culture, whether it's trauma. We don't know yet, right? But if both of them agree that this is the model with which marriage should be run, and they stay there, they should be fine if they are not listening to what other people are saying. You get it?
Yeah.
Now, for the ones who are contemporary, guy is working, wife is working. You know, just imagine if both of them live in a place like Lagos and they have to leave the house in the early hours of the morning, probably drive two different cars because they're going two different directions to work, and then they don't get back till late in the night or evening. You know, maybe he even comes in before the wife, and then he comes in. In fact, this was a real conversation the other time online too, where the man comes in early and he's waiting for his wife to get back, and she's tired. She's gone through the same hassle as he has gone through, and he's waiting for her to come home and cook him his meal. And then when she's done with that, she goes to attend to the children, put them to bed, do all of that, you know. Then you see that you're mixing up two systems. It can't work that way. It can't work that way. That's where the trouble really comes in, where one person is trying to mix a bit of this and a bit of that just so that it suits their personal ease or convenience, right? Marriage is responsibility. Again and again, we keep emphasizing that is why marriage is not for children. It's not for the immature. Marriage is a lot of responsibility from both parties. So this is how I like to put it. You see this gender thing, right? It's like a, you know, the role you take on your job, where you have your own job description and another person has their own job description. It takes everyone carrying out their respective roles for the organization to work. In the same vein, it takes husband and wife choosing to agree that, okay, this and this and this I will take care of, this and this and this you will take care of, these other ones any of us can take care of, or together we take care of them, right? Now, when I do what I am supposed to do, there shouldn't be issues. When you do what you are supposed to do, there shouldn't be issues. When we both jump in where both of us are supposed to jump in, there shouldn't be issues. But once it begins to feel like there's an imbalance, right? The scale is depressed on one end and is beginning to tell on that partner, then there's going to be a problem. You see, so this is how it affects marriages, because one person wants to be overbearing.
Coach, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So one person wants to operate from the place of convenience and then tries to justify that by now instituting the disparity of roles. Okay, so let me keep it practical.
Okay.
Cooking, cleaning the house, right?
Yeah.
Who eats in the house? Everyone eats. These days, women are not the only ones who know how to cook. Men also know how to cook. Some men are even better cooks than their wives.
Yeah.
All right. Who cooks should not be a matter of because you are a woman, you must cook. No,
Coach
it
M.
doesn't.
It's like you.
Yeah.
I cannot say that it's like you don't know, but you. Of course, there are families that have crashed because of this. Like
Of course.
like the man, despite everything, work schedule and all of that, still expects that the wife will be the one doing the cooking. Haven't you seen on social media where,
So,
depending on the schedule of the woman, maybe the woman orders, either she orders food in or she gets someone to come and do the cooking, or she will get someone to cook the food and bring it. In some instances, maybe meal prep and everything, which is one of the things that takes a lot of time when it comes to meal preparation and all that. There are services these days where people just
yeah.
order, the meals are already prepped to a certain extent, and then you only just to put them in the pot. I'm sure you will have seen or heard marriages that have crashed because
Oh, yeah.
because the woman says, "Oh, because of my work schedule and all of that, I cannot do this." Because some people cannot agree. Anyhow, anything you want to do, you must be the one cooking my food.
You know, my work here is not to convince anybody. It's just to tell you, if this is what you believe, choose a partner that also believes that,
That.
and two of you will not have problems.
Should
You
not
see,
have
the man
problems.
who is demanding, I only eat fresh foods, don't put my food in the freezer, then you should also insist that that woman should not have a secular job. She should sit in the house
So that she
and
can
you
make
provide
that
all
for
of her
you.
financial and physical needs. So that when you call her, I'm on my way, I'm about to leave the office, so it will take me 30 minutes to get home. There and then, she starts preparing your food. As you come back, it's smoky hot. No problem. She's available for that. You see? So if she agrees, you agree to that, then that's good and fine. But if she's also engaged in bringing in the financial resources and contributing to the home front, then you insist that she should be preparing fresh foods for you, then you should also be ready to eat at past 1 a.m. sometimes, your dinner, because that is when food will be ready, based on what time she comes home and she's now done cooking. You see? But even then, that's not sustainable. Do you understand? So I'm saying that in this day and age, before that man got married, how was he feeding? How was he feeding? He wasn't cooking himself, perhaps. Maybe he was eating out, or he had all these girlfriends come and do wifely duties for him,
Or
perhaps.
fresh food from his mother's kitchen.
Oh, that's another one. But then the thing is, well, you don't have to turn your wife to a slave. No, you shouldn't do that. So why I talked about, I asked a question earlier and said who should be more accountable to themselves, whether the male or the female, and you said both of them. You see, again, I'm taking you back to the concept of oneness in marriage, which I spoke about some time back. People have a lot of unnecessary arguments and fights in marriage because they still operate as two of us. But that's not the concept. Two should become one.
So
When
explain
both of us
this when it comes to gender roles.
Yes.
How is this applicable when it comes to gender roles?
I'm going there. How does this apply? The way I would look after myself is how I should look after my partner. In other words, if I know that coming home at 10:30, I'm already stressed, and what I would typically love to do is just have a cold water or a cold drink, freshly squeezed juice, made for me by my partner, all right? And then a nice meal prepared already, and then I just shower and I just lie down and just cuddle a bit. If that is what I think I deserve, then I should be willing to make that happen for my partner, irrespective of your gender.
Okay. All right. I want you to come back and
Do you get
finish that
it?
thought.
So if you're
Yes.
the man who believes should be said that way, in the spirit, okay.
Okay, I want you to
Go
come
ahead,
back and
please.
finish that thought, but I understand that the stream will be ending any second now, so I don't want to cut you off midstream. Okay, so let's resume the conversation virtually, right? I hear you talking about the expectations as far as couples when they consider themselves as one. So let's just pick it up from there. right after this timeout. It's 95.1 Nigeria Info, and we are having a conversation on gender roles and if they really and truly are still necessary and how it impacts in relationships. And I shared a clip. I think by the time we come back, I'll go back to that clip again because that's the context from which we're having this conversation. Coach M will be here to wrap it up after this. Stay with us.
Stay on track with Nigeria Info.
And PFN, the Stone Bishops.
Talking about Mourinho and AS Roma, Paulo Dybala has joined forces with Mourinho.
And then so the aviation workers also want to join the strike.
More access to all the top stories and more. 95.1.
Let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info.